Cosmello. And this is my, whoa, starting again.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cosmello, and this is my business partner, Ronny Pearsall. A couple weeks ago, we did an interview with Teresa Howell, one of our new teachers, and all of a sudden we realized we haven't really gotten on and talked or introduced ourselves since COVID started. So we felt like it was time to do that again and talk a little bit about the direction that Firefly is going. One of the big news is a word?
It is now.
It is now. One of the big news is that Ronny is almost done with yoga therapy training. And we're really excited about this. Ronny, why don't you kind of tell a little bit about what that means?
So yoga therapy is an individualized practice. It could be done in small groups, but the main difference between yoga teaching and yoga therapy is there's an assessment component. The amount of training is extensive. So it's an 850-hour training. And there is incremental check-ins with some goal, some outcome that you or whoever's receiving yoga therapy may hope to achieve. So somebody with an injury or somebody trying to transition out of a habit or start something new would benefit from this. But it just involves bringing in like an integrated approach using all the tools of yoga that is a little more difficult to really pinpoint what you're doing in a large group class.
And what I like about it is it encompasses psychological, emotional, mental, and physical modalities.
Yes, so that's our assessment tool. Our main assessment tool is called the koshas. If you don't know, that is a model for looking at people that breaks us down into a physical body coupled with an energetic body, coupled with a mental body and a personality. And at the middle of this, the last layer would be what helps us to feel connected, where our spirituality is at, the things that bring us joy, our ability to experience awe in the day-to-day.
I love that. And in addition to that, Ronny is still teaching a whole bunch of classes. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're teaching right now?
So for those that are so inclined, I have an early morning class that is great if you need to be to work early or just happen to be a morning person. You can show up at any time between 5:30 and 6:30, and we work on an individualized sequence. And I use a lot of the therapeutic yoga techniques that I'm learning in my training. And so it's an individualized practice done in a group setting, right? Because a lot of what we get in a yoga class, or maybe not a lot, but one of the components in a group yoga class is that we get to be around people instead of being isolated and having this practice that we do that, however beneficial it might be, we're missing this piece. And it just gives us a chance to work together one-on-one. In a group setting. So it's an affordable version of a one-on-one class. I also do teach many group classes. So Monday.
Wait.
Backing up.
5:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday at the Lacey Studio.
At the Lacey Studio, thank you.
Okay, go
And
on.
we do have a special moon day practices. So if a practice day lands on a full moon or a new moon, we do a group practice, and it's a meditation. On this last Monday, we had a new moon, and we talked about the philosophy of yoga. So we broke down some yoga sutras and had a really rich discussion, coupled with some breathing techniques and some time to just relax before we move out into our day. So those are the only different kinds of days. But the rest of my group classes, I have at 9:30 on Monday and Wednesday in Lacey and Friday at the Tumwater Studio. And I have an evening class on Monday. And I'm having a hard time thinking of it off the top of my head. It seems like more than that, but we might be there right now.
Well, and those classes tend to be a little more active, and they're group classes that you teach like traditionally
Like a
taught
traditional
classes.
yoga. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're also now teaching at a hospital, I believe, a mental health hospital.
Yeah, that was an unexpected joy. I am really enjoying teaching yoga there. It's at South Sound Behavioral Hospital, and it's not where I thought I was going to teach, when I took my first 200-hour training with you all those years ago, but I'm sure glad that it came into my life. I get to reach people that otherwise aren't going to be exposed to yoga practices. It's a very different environment, and it really shows how well yoga can work, and all the different approaches. Sometimes it's a test of my skills, but seem to be passing the test.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Anything else you want to share?
I am looking forward to finishing my training as a yoga therapist. I'll be done in November, and in the meantime, I'm uh, scheduling people for practicum that I need some hours for practicum. So if anybody were interested, they could certainly send us an email at the studio, and I would reach back out with an intake form. And those would be mostly done in the Lacey studio. And the price is a sliding scale topping at $55
Okay.
for one session.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you some questions?
You sure can.
Okay. Uh, First of all, I think it's a really fun story, and if you could tell it uh, for us all. I know a lot of people who have taken teacher training know it, but can you tell us how you came up with the name Firefly Yoga?
Oh, okay. So I was meeting some friends after work one night at a wine bar, and I was talking about my day. I was just telling them about I went here and taught yoga, I went here and did this, I went here and talked to this person, did this with this person, and my friend at the time said, she said, "You're just like this little firefly flitting all over the world, spreading your light." And I went, "I don't know about that." And I was like, "But what a great name for the studio I'm about to open." And that's where
I
we
think
get.
it's true. I think you are a bit of a firefly. Thank you for your light.
Thanks.
Uh, can you tell us a little bit about what are your influences? For how you teach yoga?
Um, well, I'm talking to one of them right now. I learn a lot from Ronnie. I also have studied under two different yoga teacher trainers. One was Nathan Hayes with Living Spirit Yoga, and the other one was Everett Newell with Zuna Yoga. And I learned the basics and more from Nathan. And then Everett took me into the realms of meditation and a little more deeper understanding of what I actually believed about the practice of yoga. And then I've kind of gone on since then to do a whole lot of spiritual work, whether with groups on retreats or readings or writing meditation of my own, and have kind of evolved from there. I've done a lot of work with trauma informed yoga. I worked at a eating disorder clinic where I was formally trained in trauma informed yoga. And since then, and that was probably 7, 8 years ago, the practice of teaching folks and trying to avoid trauma and traumatic languaging has evolved quite a bit. And then, even more than that, how we handle when somebody accidentally gets triggered. So I've focused quite a bit on that and recently did a workshop on it. Um, I think it's almost sometimes more traumatic for a teacher. We had one of our teachers recently had a student break down crying in their class, and she felt horrible. And the woman was not crying because of anything she had done. It was totally her internal process. But the teacher then needing to do self-care. So I work a lot with trying to help other teachers and help our students and our teachers take care of themselves. And Sean Corn. I love Sean Corn. I've learned so much from following her and doing some of her stuff. So, and then I have some Kundalini influences too. That was a long answer for that question.
That's a great answer. Thank you. How about this? Let's put the bhavana out there. Bhavana being like our ability to manifest. Where do you see, or what would you like to, what direction would you like Firefly Yoga to head in the future?
So my vision is that we have one more big studio, like Tumwater, and I'd like it to be out in the Marvin Road, Hawks Prairie area, because it's very underserved. And I want to see our little studio on Pacific turn into a yoga therapy center where Ronny trains people in yoga therapy in the future, and where we continue doing teacher trainings, and we have small group and individual sessions that are more in the lines of therapeutic yoga. I see Tumwater and the new Lacey studio that we need to manifest proceeding like they are, where we help people. We help people stay strong. We help people with their physicality, and also meditation classes, Reiki workshops. We've done some stuff where we've focused on aging and women. We singing bowls. I mean, we do all sorts of stuff. I want to keep on doing all the things we do so well.
So speaking of where we want to go in the future, if you have your tarot cards, can you pull one card for us?
It just happened to happen.
I just happened to have them.
Oh, not what I expected. This is the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is a student. It looks a lot like you. Especially the long flowing hair. So the Page of Swords is a very serious student of life, of whatever she, there's kind of a gender fluid thing going on here, wants to pursue. So maybe this is you and I put together, because I'm ever, always, and forever a student. I mean, a million hours of study, and you also seem to be following in that path of forever studying. So perhaps maybe this is us proceeding and continuing to grow and study and perfecting our craft.
Awesome. Thank you.
You want to know my classes?
Oh, yes, please. I thought so I made a little list of questions, and when you're asking me my classes, I was like, I should ask her that. Lisa, do you mind telling us about your classes?
I teach an energetic yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is an ever evolving class because I kind of teach to whoever's there. And right now we have people who've been coming pretty much regularly for years. And so it's a fairly quick flowing, I wouldn't call it difficult, pretty basic movements, basic shapes, and a little challenging. Uh-oh, here comes the cat visitor. I knew he'd find a way in. And then
always makes an appearance.
Always makes an appearance. And then on Wednesdays, I've got a class at 9:30 at the these are all at Tumwater. I don't teach at Lacey right now. On Wednesdays at 9:30, I teach a class called Yoga Basics, where we're focusing a little more on mantra and breath and some of the basic movements of yoga and its benefits. Today, we did a whole bunch of psoas stuff that ended up in restorative. So that was kind of fun. And then on the weekends, I've been subbing pretty regularly for one of the morning classes, and I teach a gentle, slow flow whenever I'm subbing for those classes. And I think I'm going to be taking over the 10:30 on Sunday, because both of the Saturday classes, I haven't even told Ronnie this, both of the Saturday classes are being taken back by teachers that are going to teach them regularly. But Sunday at 10:30 will probably be me for this foreseeable future until we find someone else. I really would like the weekend off. But I really enjoy teaching
Put it in
those
the
classes.
bhavana. Put it in the
Yeah.
bhavana.
You know what, though? I like teaching those classes. And so maybe I'm getting what I need more than what I think I want.
Mm.
So I love it. Anyway, I love what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching all the things I really like. I've got some wonderful students and a great partner. And yeah, thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.